See, it's a good team.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 49, Chart Talk. Same shit every week. I don't have to go through it. Bennett, how we doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yo, Ben, I got a quick question for you. Now, traders, a mentality of a trader. Would you say they're like mentally strong, or you say like, more of crybabies type that?
I think it depends on the trader. I think in the beginning you'd be a big crybaby, then maybe you're going to be.
Do you think if you expect every single trade is going to be a win, you're going to be successful over the long term?
I think you're living in a fairy tale, if that's the case.
There's some days I'm very proud of what we built, and then there's other days I'm like, how am I fucking babysitting here? I'm almost 30 years old. Fuck. Traders are very resilient. Traders take losses. It's all part of the game. Today we had a down day. It was like the fucking World War II started.
Yeah, and we were at new all-time highs at
Right.
9:00.
New all-time highs on the NASDAQ, and it's like everyone's crying left and right. Fuck. Accounts 1% off all-time highs.
Well done, Nick. But I will say, when it was really crazy, everyone was pretty good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We've been on too good of a run. The newer guys are so spoiled with the market action. It's like, this breakout didn't work today, and I got to deal with the tier squad. It's like I had to leave the desk a little bit, close out that group meeting. It's like, Jesus Christ, guys. So first down day in a while. It's like the world's ending. But all right, let's jump in, huh? All right, so we got our first down day in a hot minute today. We got a big gap up off the open, Monday morning gap up. Things closed very well for the week. And then once news hit that California was re-shutting down, market sold off pretty viciously. And it was the NASDAQ, and it was the leaders, which signals, some sort of pull-in is going to happen. But it's the same pattern that we've been talking about. I'm sure with the top end of the range, NASDAQ.
Oh, we are.
We're in this uptrend right here. We get to the top of the range, we sell off, we get to the bottom of the range. That's where we got to look for buys. I was wondering if we could go on some parabolic run after the action last week, and we showed it this morning, but then things vehemently turned around with that California re-shutdown news. But I mean, the trend is still intact. One down day doesn't break a trend. That's it. We just got our first sell-off, so we'll see what's to come rest of the week. I think we'll have a little more downside in us. I'm looking for, the bottom end of this NASDAQ range. But what do you got? Same?
Yeah, so you want to pull up the first image you sent over, which goes over a little summary of the big picture from yesterday.
Yeah.
That kind of touched on a lot of what he says, that, we're in the upper end of this range and everything looks perfect and everyone starts to get bullish. It's usually the time when the opposite happens.
Right.
We really walked in that perfectly today. And I, drew out a very similar NASDAQ chart that you had, and I just circled up those 4 or 5 day periods that we've seen recently in this channel that we've been in, where once it gets that upper end of that range, it looks so good for those 4 or 5 days where everyone wants to get in, and then we get that pull in. And again, you mentioned we did really good at the beginning of July buying up off support. Now we got to just wait a couple of days until we get back near that the lower end of that channel and look for buys then, not first thing tomorrow morning when the market was bearish engulfing at all-time highs. And then the only other thing is sector-wise, you want to pull VPU, shake the chart underneath. Yep. So when the market does get a little bit shaky again, we pretty much had a green day for the last quarter. But when the market does get a little bit rocky, people tend to gravitate towards risk-off sectors like utilities. So if you look at VPU or any utility stocks, they're probably going to be setting up. You can get some tight risk entries. I'll be adding to VPU up through 128 whenever it wants to break out through that level. I think with that, Shake, you all will jump into some of the member ideas.
Let's go. They're all going to look.
All right. All right, we'll start with David Keller.
Before the sell-off happened, so I mean, now after sold off, it's just, I'm not saying it's them.
Yeah. So he's looking at this Beyond Meat. He was looking at it up through that 137.
Beyond dead. This just sold off today, and if it breaks this pivot to the downside, this 125 pivot, that stock could be in some trouble. Very high beta stock, so when that breaks resistance and support levels, it breaks pretty hard. So, if it loses steam to that 125 support, I think it goes lower.
Other one was this KO through 45.5.
That one still looks good. Consumer staple is. They have earnings July 21st though, so just right now just wait for earnings.
And then last, that was Home Depot through
HG
that
looks
high.
sick today. Yeah, no, it looks sick today in the morning, and then it just came down with the market. So see if this one can chill out and hold this level. But I mean, just market just turned around today.
Yeah, I think this Home Depot, we get like a nice little flag, and it's 230 to 260. We get a couple months, and it'll be a nice little breakout. Next, we got John B. looking at SRPT 170.
This one broke down hard today, huh? So here's what he's looking at. This is a really nice macro level. It's 170 in Sarepta, and you can see that they were flagging in front of it, but now it looks like it's failing this flag. Needs some time to cool off. It'll probably need earnings now to get back up there or something. So just kind of a no trade for now.
Then we got Brian M. looking at QCOM through that 94, 96.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, if this recovers, maybe, but went on a big run. Run's cooling off. Failed breakout today, so just looks like everything's kind of ready for a pull-in.
We got Craig looking at WK, Workiva through 57.
Same thing. Went on a big run. Had a bull flag, tried to break up higher out of it today, broke downwards. Needs time.
Next we have Bobby Moore, Core into Core, FND, through 60. Yeah.
Nice little level, nice little macro chart it's got going on. I'm just going to say the same thing for all these charts. I mean, we're just seeing day one of weakness after a big run, so I'm not really rushing for new risk right now, especially earnings coming up. So
yeah, so we're gonna let's see. Okay, so he had a quick question. He says, when looking for stocks trading in strong sectors, what time frame do you look at the sector's relative strength? A week, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, etc.
Oh, how do I determine relative strength within a sector? I mean, daily charts always to start, but if I'm looking intraday, it's going to be intraday, like 5, 15, 30-minute charts, probably 15. Yeah.
All right, next we got Will Thompson, AVGO 320.
Same thing. It's just, semiconductors, they look very good. Now they're kind of weakening up in this area. If this can recover, this one's still up here at highs. Doesn't look too bad, but, probably just needs to cool off.
Yeah. Let's see. Next, he's looking at this DHI through 60.
Same thing. Failed breakout today. I mean, all these home builders. I mean,
Yeah.
Lennar, Toll, TOL, Toll, and then DHI. All pretty much same charts today. They broke that resistance level and turned around. We're gonna see how many more of these we got. That I'm gonna say.
No, I'll skip through. We'll jump to some of the social media ones to really give you some A+ questions. We'll start with Vinny Martin. He's looking at ROP through 400.
If this one holds this 380 support line, it could be good in time. This one's, I like how it's a little more well built out, but still same thing, just closed super weak.
Yeah, he actually has some good ideas. He's also got this Garmin GRMN through 100.
Yeah, that looks good.
Actually. And then last, Chewy, your favorite stock, through 52.
That looks good. Yeah. Don't say it's my favorite stock.
No. All right, so this is a funny one. And again, this at A_bit_Thomas. He has been probably following us for 4 or 5 years, and he refuses to join like any of the programs, but always asks like just hilarious questions. So he goes, "What's wrong with Tesla? When does this madness get slapped with some sort of reality?" Meaning that he has sold some a year ago and he's playing shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Today we saw the day of reckoning in Tesla today, and here's the funniest news: is the first 4 hours of market open, it got announced that Robinhood users, there was a 20% uptick in Robinhood users buying Tesla today, in the first 4 hours of market open. So that was literally the top, and we see this today. And now it's going to be the fun part is the retracement game, where it's like, this just really ran from 360 to 1800. What is that, $1,400 move? So like a 50% pull-in is down to 1,100 right here. It's like, that'll be a normal reaction for the stock. So it's going to be really funny these next few weeks in Tesla.
I didn't see anyone today because we had a bunch of guys who actually bought 1,000 in Tesla.
Oh yeah.
And I know we had a guy selling into yeah. So I'm surprised we didn't see any like 70 or 80% chops today for people getting out. But let's see. Next we got Jesus Salazar looking at Lulu through 320.
I like this chart a lot coming into the day, but same.
Yeah, same, but different. but still same.
It's got to hold this area. It's got to hold this upper level flag, but it just looks like it's going to fail.
But it's funny now, when you zoom out, we were trying to buy the 80 breakout in Lulu. It looks like so easy now. And then in the moment, we were buying like 80 versus 79, 80 versus 78. Like, it was so difficult at that time. And looking at it now, it's like, how did we ever like take a loss and move it through 80?
I remember.
All right. Yeah, this is 2 years ago. Okay, so we got Evan Levitsky. He's looking at Dave and Buster's.
Play?
Loser. Yeah.
No, just
Dead.
Just
Dead.
Just dead.
One of my friends sits this one out. She's just dead.
Loser. Yeah. Well, everyone else has really good ideas. All right. Redtail fan page. How do you pick long-term investments?
For me, it'll be really two things. Well, three things. If I use it a ton in my daily life, which is like for us, it's like Shopify as a business. You know, we use that every single day. Mm-hmm. If I really like the underlying technology, or I think there's massive proponents for the technological scale, or their sales are crazy, like some of these, like the Twilios of the world. And then lastly is a big dividend name like this Verizon that I always talk about. More of a safer risk off, and I use Verizon. I'm a Verizon customer for the last 5 years. I'm going to be for the next 10 years. So if I use it in my everyday life, those are really the things I do. And in my long-term investments, I'm looking for more safer plays than the high betas and stuff like that. So what would you say?
I mean, I think you hit a lot of good points. I think the only other thing that I would add that is, a big misconception, especially with a lot of people that I talk to, where their initial thought is this can be a long-term investment, where if you can't stomach the name getting cut half from the price point you're buying at, then you're probably never going to be able to hold it long-term. So that's the tricky part in the beginning, where, it's hard to be able to stomach those down moves, especially if you think a few months back when the market was really dropping. If you were able to hold all your positions and good ones, and now they're profitable, it's a much easier process. But in the beginning, it's very hard, I think, for a new trader to just buy a name like the guys who are probably buying Tesla today, thinking it's long-term hold, but they're never going to be profitable in the name. So you got to really, pick your poison.
Here's the thing: if you're going to check on an investment every single day, it can't be a long-term investment. It just can't be, because you're going to get emotional over it. You're going to start seeing the price fluctuations. You're going to start staring at your P&L. So if it's something you're checking every day, it's not a long-term investment, even if you tell yourself it is.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, even the convo we had before, when I told you about like my 401k, and
you got to tell
again,
listeners.
401ks. Yeah. Backstory. So okay. So do a little 401k cheat sheet. So for most people who aren't aware that most 401ks offer a loan provision if you're looking to buy a home. So you can, if you say you have $100,000 in your 401k, you can take up to $50,000. Most 401ks will let you take it out. It's not a taxable event. Use it for your personal purchase, and you'll essentially pay yourself back while the money in the 401k stays invested. So it's like a little kind of tax loophole if you're looking to buy a home. So I did this like maybe a year ago, and I left my employer, and I had to sell out that standing loan. Now what happened when, again, we all know the market had a crazy drop the last few months, and it since came back. My 401k, which was heavily invested in my company's 401k, company stock in the 401k, had dropped by 50%. And then fast forward to now, when I'm rolling over the 401k to my new employer and had to settle out that loan, my 401k just got back to even. So had I done this, say, 2 or 3 months ago, my 401k I would have forcibly take a 50% haircut, where the market kind of lifted, came back up, and I'm able to get out for basically break even and have not lost anything while using that money for a home. But on the long-term investment topic, I wasn't watching my 401k every single day. I didn't care what the company that I was working for, that I had the stock in. I didn't care what the day-to-day fluctuations were, because I knew this was a long-term account. The 401k I wasn't going to be touching until I was 65 years old. So I didn't care how it was fluctuating. But then fast forward to today, when I actually looked at the statement, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that thing dropped 50%. But it did turn itself around, and I made some money in it. So that's a little backstory on the 401k that we were talking about. That kind of goes along with the longer-term investment topic. We already kind of talked about Tesla. That was the next guy's question. So we're going to skip that again. If you're buying Tesla today, I'm sorry, but you're going to lose money. We're going to skip to Pink Z. He's looking at FLSR.
For solar. Wait, FSLR.
Yeah, for solar. Through 60.
In some time. I mean, it just broke out. This people were buying this 52 or whatever this breakout was last. So this one just broke out. Probably needs earnings. So I like the level. One to keep on the radar. Kind of change of composure in the last couple months, but nothing at this 60 yet.
And then the other one was this AMD through 60.
Yeah, motherfucker. I fucking hate this AMD now. Yeah, no, in time, this is a massive, massive pattern that's going to, it'll break to the upside. It needs earnings right now. So, same answer for every single chart.
Yeah. All right, so we'll jump into some good trade. Good trade, bad trade. Shake, you want to pull up? We'll start with Tommy Bridwell. His Roku trade.
Roku. Where you at? Roku, holy shit. Can you read this?
It's I mean, you don't have to break it down. If you want, I can go over it, or if you want to.
Nah, yeah. This one looks like it's got your name on it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not gonna go through every single trade, but we can just see very, simply. Again, I'm not gonna go through every little. I can't even see every little tick. But again, we see that he's, we see the red lines. We see he had the pattern drawn out. We see that he bought up off the support, set his stop after he got in. You can see the stock kind of breaking out into that range as it starts to flag. And again, you can continue to see him, move, taking some off, moving a stop, taking some off, moving a stop, taking some off, moving a stop. And his final kick was for 11 risk reward. So I think he did a really good job in this trade. The only thing I think he could have done a little bit better was just initially, was in this range before it kind of broke out of the little horizontal lines he drew. Be a little bit more patient with that initial stock until it got to like that third kick. But other than that, I think it was a great trade on his part. Next, we got Bobby Moore, CTSH. Again, similar pattern, a little wedge form. He bought up off support, but couldn't break out of this pattern, and it just was a break-even trade. So he bought up through. Actually, he lost $1 in the name. But again, basically, it's close to break-even. Since there's a name that just wasn't ready yet. Compared to Tommy's where, they want to break out of that pattern. Next, Jake, if you want to pull up the third chart. He had that cropped out, so I'm not sure what the, yeah. Okay, so you can see.
Right, killing it, keep going.
You got it pulled up though?
Oh, it's up to you.
All right. So we got the green circle. We can see this horizontal resistance 38. He buys through, sets stop at the, low of the day, trails it up, and then kicks into that 43, and then gets stopped after the rest. Very simple swing trade. I think he executed that, probably as best as you could have. Next, we got Andrew Moffitt looking at, and this is the Ion trade. I was in this as well. Let's see. So he bought it through 60. Shake, you have it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this Ion is a name we've been watching for quite some time. That's set up through 60. Again, we can see that hard resistance through 60. We see the support, rising up. We buy through it. Let's see, he buys 59, he buys 60. Let's see. So I think he.
I gotta talk.
Yeah, you go.
So no. So this Ions, I mean, he just way over executed this trade. So this Ions is a big, it's a big picture setup, and it's got this nice resistance level at 60 area, and that's where he was getting involved. But this stock is much more of a grinder. We type up a name like Roku. We can see Roku is a high beta name. So that one's going to fly or not fly, whatever it's doing. Whereas this Ions, you look at the daily chart, you can tell the way it moves higher, it's grinding higher, things like that. So he just treated this like it's a Roku. That's what his mistake in the trade was. He bought it here. He kept his stop too tight. He's getting stopped out a couple days later when it didn't take out that first day. Or, and these trades, these Ions, this comes with name recognition and a little more time in the game. You want to buy this. This is like something I'd buy on my long-term account, but I wouldn't touch it in my active account because I'd be doing the same shit that he's doing, where it's like I'm looking at every tick. Where this is a name, it's just like you gotta have your game plan, set your stops, and just kind of let it go. And if it works in your favor, it does so. But like the way he was trying to do it, where it's like got stopped out, tried to buy it back and be too cute. This isn't really a name you want to be cute with. It's just a name you want to buy and hold and kind of that more of that type of setup. But he's learning. He's good.
Yeah, even like for me, we took the same trade. I bought through 60, had a 58, 57.99 stop. Didn't do anything with it, just let it work. When it finally kind of held above 60, I'm like, all right, I'll move to break even. And I got ticked out for break even, but it was literally 2 trades. Bought, sold, was done. And again, looking at this, there's a lot going on here for a name that didn't really move that much.
That's what I'm saying. He's just doing way too much with the stock. The stock's not really in play like that. So it's like to be trading this name this much, there's no way to be profitable unless you're like the best trader ever. Trading off like 1-minute charts and shit like that. All right, let's move on.
All right,
NEE.
Yeah, it's Will Thompson. So let's see, bought up through 250, trailing stop, still in it. Trade's working as it's running back into this prior resistance at 260. Or maybe it stalls out there, maybe not, but he's moving to stop up. Simple swing trade. Next we got Dish. All right, so he was wanting this 30 half level, this red horizontal line at area support. He watched it come in, he watched it hold. He bought it the next day up through it. Let's see where his stop is. He didn't mention where his stop is, but I'm going to say it's probably break even, that area held. So again, he bought up support. This is a great name where if he can be patient with this and it gets back up to 38, so that would be perfect in buying a 38 breakout. He's got amazing stock off the support with very little risk. So it's definitely a really good trade there. ATBI was a bad trade of his. Again, he drew us a little wedge pattern. He bought through the break of it, which was good. But again, like we talked about, doing too much, getting too cute. He just got ticked out on a little red arrow the day that he shows, but it really never did anything to kind of break the trend it's been on. So now he's kind of regretting that kick as the trade is breaking out higher. All right, so with that, Chick, I think we wrapped up the member ideas or the good trade bad trade members. If you want to go over any of yours, and I'll go over the few that I have for mine.
All right, you can start on yours, Verizon.
Yeah. Verizon. So this was, again, saw it held support 53, bought it for 54, $1 risk. It only bounced about $1, so risking $1, it's only up $1. It's one risk reward. Not a big fan, so I moved this trade to break even. I got ticked out. Again, the trade is still working. It probably will higher, but this is taking this trade 1,000 times. If it's 101 risk reward from that support by bounce, I'm always going to look to be more defensive. So this trade just didn't work, didn't lose anything. No problem with that. Next was this Ions. Again, we kind of talked about it briefly before. I just simply bought it through 60, had a 58 stop. I bought back up through 60 again, and it was again holding above 60 to 62, moved to a break-even stop, and I went a couple dollars higher, but still hasn't really done much. So 2 break-even trades. This names were buying up off support or buying through a breakout, and then moving the stop to break-even. And again, I'll have hundreds of these trades, but not losing anything, so I have no problem getting back into Verizon or Ions because I lost nothing in them. 2 or one that's working and one that's working a little bit better. We have this PFPT. This was a name that we talked about a few chart talk back where I had gotten into early through that like 118 area, 116. It came down to 104. It started to hold, and then I bought up, on the way up through those inside week highs up through 112, and now it's still back into that. It's still flagging this, really big wide flag, but eventually 152. It's a macro breakout. It's a huge level, so you're trying to get some stock up down here. Where in the past, taking this name, I've always been buying the 128s and 124s and just not having the proper cushion. We're now kind of building into it, and I'll have a better position for that eventual breakout down the road. And then lastly, this GWPH, I think Shake, you were in this as well. Nice. And then we've been keeping an eye on. Yeah, me and Gene have been keeping a close eye on it, but I drew all the little arrows to kind of show if you're watching where we tend to focus on like the 3rd or 4th times the charm when the name has resistance level. And I drew that as clear as seemingly possible, and then just bought up to 134, and have stop versus 152 for now. And if we zoom out, you'll see the much bigger pattern, but that was, I tried to zoom in and show the flag that we were keeping a close eye on. So those are my couple of trades. What about you, Shake?
All right, so I was in that GWPH today. I kicked a bunch. I still have a tiny bit, but big shouts out to Nathan calling this one out. I took an L in this KMB today. This is a fine loss to me. Beautiful daily flag. Set up. It triggered really nicely today off the open. Just a failed breakout. That shit happens. And then same with this Lennar today. The only thing that made this a bitch was like it ticked us in by 30 cents, and then it failed. Those are my two bad trades, but again, those are fine trades to me because in trading you take losses. We're playing a probability game, okay? I have to just be right more than I'm wrong. And then some good trades. What do we got here? I did really well with this lemonade today, but that's been talked about a lot. I don't need to go over that one too much.
Maybe give like a quick 30-second minute overview. I think that was an amazing trade.
All right. So this lemonade. So we were talking before about Tesla and how like the retracement has to be crazy because of the move it made. So this lemonade, I was looking for the same thing where it went from 50 to 96 in 2 days. So when it pulls in, that's a $45 move. It pulls in $22. That's a perfect 50% retracement. So it makes that pull in. I took a loss here this day, just trying that third day. So I took a loss here on that third day, but then I saw it gapped up the next day. I saw the buyers come in. I was kind of buying this 72, 73, 74 area, and then I kicked pretty much everything Friday into this 88, 89. Did really well with that one. Actually, my bad trade, I got so shaken out of this MU last week. Oh, man. So I bought this hammer right here, and I added through the highs that day, and then I got stopped out at these lows right there. Ooh. So that stunk, but we did well, and we did really well at work. I pretty much sold everything today. I de-risked heavily today. Bought that one there. What else I got? And then I got out of super long-term swings today. Like I had a feeler in this Spotify from this like 155 area. I got out today. I sold 2/3 of my Disney that we bought on earnings day from 100. What else did I sell? The Square. I was in this long-term. I fucked it up in the active account, but did well in the long term. And we're seeing all these signs that the market's ready for a pull-in. Market leaders like Square, Amazon, all those ones are the ones pulling in. I sold some of this Yeti today in the long term. I sold some Peloton in the long term. I sold Snapchat. Just a bunch of profit taking. I cleared up a lot of cash. I'm ready to buy on a pull-in, which I think we'll get the rest of this week, and we'll see what's up. We got earnings season coming up, so I don't have to be crazy active this week because I've been so active and been doing so well and holding my winners and things like that. So now I'm not in a crazy rush to put on new risk after we got that huge warning shot out of the market today. So that's it out of me. What do you got? Top ideas?
Everyone's still watching. So it's like everyone's still watching. Do not be looking to buy first thing tomorrow morning, given how we closed. Let's give it a couple days.
Yeah, seriously. Ebbs and flows. And flows.
So top ideas other than sitting on your hands, I would say the top three I'm looking at is this AZO through 1160 in time. Again, not tomorrow, not this week, but whenever that flag's ready to break. I have no problem sneaking into that one. This Live Nation through 48 verse 44, just kind of chopping around this little area. And then McDonald's through 190 verse 180. Again, if this pulls in the next couple days into 170, no problem buying up with support, but just for now, the range it's been in, I'd look to buy up through 190. But again, not tomorrow, not the next day. You want to give the market some time, some breathing room. What about you, Shake?
So I like. There's a few names I like on the. I was gonna say this Abbott Labs, but they have earnings. A lot of these things have earnings coming up. I'm most likely gonna not gonna be too active the rest of the week. I don't really like a lot out there. Judge after today's action. We got a big warning shot of the market after a huge run up. Either we pull, I think it's a viable dip still, but it looks like we're probably either testing this 310 in SPY or down to that 300 in SPY. So, wait and see what the market gives us, but nothing I'm chomping at the bits over. I do like, there's a couple IPOs this week. What's it? This Encino. I like this company a lot. Just a cloud player for banking software. I'm going to be watching this one. I think they IPO either today or tomorrow. And then there's another one I put on the shakedown. I forget right now, but whatever. Not that important. All right, yeah. Book of the week, Tom?
Do it. Jump in.
All right.
All right. Shake, what do you read for book of the week?
So, I don't have a book of the week. What are you reading?
Well, since you don't have one, I'm still on, I don't know, super bright. I don't know if you're able to see it. I'm still on the tipping point.
Okay.
So a little history lesson. Jake, you remember the start of the American Revolution with like Paul Revere?
Of course, Paul Revere.
Yeah.
He
So,
British are coming.
yeah. No, the British are coming. But so they break down like for a 50-page chapter on the word and like how he was able to get this message across. What most people don't remember, as you and I probably don't remember, that there also was another guy, William Dawes. So there was
Wow.
yeah. So we don't both. I didn't know it either until I reread it. But so there was a stable boy who overhears some British troops saying like tomorrow is the big day when they're going to take over, Boston, and he goes and tells Paul Revere, and Paul Revere tells William Dawes, and they set out on this ride across Boston and the Northeast to kind of get this message across. No one ever remembers William Dawes because he failed at it. He, was very introverted, that didn't have like the connections in the colonies that he was going to. Where Paul Revere was a salesman, he was a business owner, he was in a bunch of different communities. He was like in farming groups, he was in politics, he was in all these different like groups. So when he was going from town to town, he knew what doors to knock on, who to tell, who could like relay the message better. Where they said like Paul Revere easily spoke to like 100+ people that night, where for William Dawes from like the research they were found, like spoke to 10 people.
Okay.
And then, and they just break down the reasons of like that, had a word of mouth, and like the fact that Paul Revere was more of like a salesman, had better connections. He was able to get that message across so broadly and so quickly that was able to help kind of kickstart the American Revolution. So it's just like a little history lesson that, again, we haven't learned since probably middle school or elementary school. That was kind of refreshing to see the intricacy of how it actually worked when one person kind of succeeded while Dawes pretty much failed at it.
So what you're saying is your network is your net worth.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. Yeah. So you summarized it much better than I could.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, cool. Let's wrap this thing up.
Done.